From a 21-year-old. I really appreciate you guys just trusting me with this topic because although I haven't been through it, I will. And I think all of this is really important just for any woman to know. So I hope you get something out of it. At any point today, if you have a question, just feel free to shout it out, raise your hand, interrupt me, because I really want this to be interactive. I don't want to just lecture you guys. So we're going to get into it. I just wanted to start off by kind of defining what menopause even is. So does anybody just have an idea off the bat what it is, how you would define it, what comes to mind when you think of menopause?
Terrible.
Yeah, menopause, it does have a lot of negative connotations, unfortunately. But today I really kind of want to debunk some of the myths surrounding it and show you guys how you can make the best out of kind of a difficult situation. So menopause really just refers to the end of a female's reproductive life, right? So from the time you get your first period to your last period, that is defined as menarche. And then after that is menopause. So during menopause, the body really just stops producing the hormones that it needs for menstruation and ultimately pregnancy. So if you've had children, this is where you can no longer have children anymore. Or even if you hadn't, your body just kind of puts a stop to those hormones. And so this really occurs when you've experienced a loss of periods for 1 year or more. So typically this can occur around 50 years of age, but we're really seeing it happen earlier, sometimes as early as 35 or 40, but it could also happen as late as 55 or even later. It really just depends on the woman. So just to start off, to give you guys like an overview of what's happening to your body during menopause, we kind of hear the word estrogen thrown around a lot. That's just like the female hormone. But estrogen and progesterone are really the main hormones that kind of start to plummet during menopause. And so estrogen is just the main sex hormone. This is what's responsible for keeping your bones strong. It regulates cholesterol. It helps with brain health. Even men have estrogen, just in different ratios, obviously, than women. But for women, we really see this affect how we distribute body fat on our body and more. There's so much that I could go into on estrogen, but that's kind of the overview. And then progesterone is that partner hormone, and that's what maintains your menstrual cycle. So while you are menstruating, this is what makes sure that you're getting your period at the right time of the month. It helps with uterine health, aids in sleep. It really regulates mood. So a lot of times when progesterone drops, that's why we get that irritability. And again, there's just a lot with that. But those are the two main hormones that I'll kind of be referencing throughout the presentation. So perimenopause versus menopause. Have you guys heard of perimenopause as well? Yeah, so that's becoming more of a popular term. Perimenopause is really just the years leading up to menopause, around like 3 to 10 years. So let's say you end up starting menopause at 50, those perimenopause symptoms can start around 40 to 45. So it's where those shifts start to occur, but your menstruation hasn't fully stopped yet. But there's still similarities during perimenopause. So the main difference between perimenopause and menopause is that in perimenopause, you're still getting your cycle every month, or maybe it's irregular, but then menopause, it stops. But you could still experience those hot flashes, night sweats, fatigue, irritability. All those symptoms can still be present during perimenopause. So that's why I want to group them together, because there are still things that you can do in perimenopause to help prepare for menopause and make the best of those years as well. So I want to hear a little bit from you guys. Obviously, I've talked to a lot of you one-on-one, and I know some of your struggles, and I know that you guys all are kind of in similar boats. So just feel free to talk to your neighbor, tell them why you came today, maybe what your biggest frustration is with menopause, and then we'll bring it back, and I want to hear from some of you guys. John, the only man in the room. All right, let's bring it back. All right, so we're gonna bring it back in, guys. Very good. All right, does anybody wanna raise their hand and share maybe one of the symptoms that you feel like is most frustrating, or that you and your neighbor both resonated with? anything that comes to mind. Yes.
I'm probably the oldest one here, maybe, possibly, and probably could help you teach the class, because I've been suffering probably for 13 years. But what we were saying is, like 47, 48 is when the night sweats happen, and then the hot flashes just continue. And I always thought that once I was in menopause, which I've been in for 10 years, those hot flashes go away, and they have not. And that's what really was frustrating for me. I just figured, all right, just a couple of years I can do this, and
Hasn't stopped.
it interrupts everything.
Yeah.
Work, it's just very frustrating. So that's what we were saying, that the hot flashes don't ever go away, I think, for me anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Yeah.
The irregularity of it, even if I've been not too far behind where she is, but I've been trying to do it naturally with vitamins, trying to fight. And for me, it's mostly the hot flashes and the night sweats. And my OB even said, just whatever you're doing, expect that in about 6 months, your body's going to realize what you've done, and you're going to have to try something different. So even when I get to the point where like 3 months, I'm like hot flash free, all of a sudden I'm there right now. I'm trying a new vitamin to try to bring myself back to being hot flash free, because as they start happening again, your body just gets used to it. So it's a good thing, but it's not a bad thing.
Right.
Your body's fighting what you're doing.
Yeah, and then it adapts and you have to switch it up. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
I think I'm 3 years, I would say, without my period. So is that post-menopause they call it? Am I still in menopause?
I would say in menopause, yeah, for that
Okay.
first 5 to
The
10.
hot flashes, yeah, I feel like they've gotten worse. But I get so confused and off balance. Like, I don't know, is that something I can't talk
Brain
right,
fog,
I
we're going to
get
talk about,
nervous.
yeah.
So that's frustrating. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. And then who else was there? Michelle? Yeah.
Just the different ways you lose, where you can't lose weight and your body just hangs on to that, and you're like, you don't even know what to do right anymore. What worked 5 years ago doesn't work today.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about that. All right, let's take 2 more. Yes.
I'm just a little different perspective, so I'm also going to be 62, and the hot flashes still, but I gave up on the natural. I had to go, I'm on a patch and a pill, estrogen progesterone, but it did make a huge difference. So I still get hot flashes at night, but at least I can sit through a business meeting and not have my face.
Yeah.
So I did make that switch, and I've had no side effects.
Okay, see? Other people are going through it too. Yeah.
Just as far as hot flashes, I was getting them terribly at the beginning of this year, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's like 7 to 10 times a day, where it's like literally stopping. And like I changed up what I was eating, and just to try different things, and it stopped. I lowered no sugar. The sugars are huge. Alcohol and dairy, and it made a huge difference. I woke up one day and they were just gone. I mean, I don't want them back. But they, so there are things that you can do. And the same thing as they said, I feel like I'm doing the challenges and I'm following everything, and what the results that I used to get. I see people getting results doing what they do, but they're 35. And at 50, it's just not happening anymore. When you're putting in the work and you're not getting the results, it's frustrating.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah.
I'm 10 years in postmenopausal. I started young. Well, not that young, but I kind of the same thing. It's like you do the challenges, you follow, and I'm strict with what I eat and do, for the most part. And I find that it's not helping. It's just like I'm stuck. The hot flashes for me actually stopped right after my period stopped. I was 46 going into menopause, postmenopause. So, so I'm 13 years in, actually, it's longer than 13 years. So it does eventually kind of go away. First, everybody's body's different, but I agree with everybody. It's like that diet piece. My protein is super high. I follow everything, and it's just, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
So,
It's frustrating. Yeah, well, I wanted you guys to share is because all of you, like you said, everybody's body's different. Everybody's on a different path, but we're all kind of in the same boat generally, right? So I just wanted to cover that just so you guys know that, you're not alone. So I wanted to touch on those, which pretty much all of you said some variation of these, but if you said unexplained or rapid weight gain, so maybe it kind of feels like overnight you just gained a lot of weight and it's just you can't get it off, that stubborn fat, you can't get it off like you used to. Maybe in the past you go off track, but then you get back on your diet, you get back on your workout routine, you'd shed the pounds off, whereas now it's kind of like your body is like just not responding, you've kind of hit a wall. Maybe you're constantly tired, feeling low energy, brain fog, all of those symptoms. Or sweating 1 minute, cold the next, right? Your temperature is just not regulating no matter what you do. So these are kind of the 4 main ones, but again, there's so much variability in here. Everybody's body's different. How extreme they experience these is gonna be different. But I just wanted to tell you guys that you're not alone and that most, if not all women do experience some variation of these symptoms during menopause. But the good news is that your body is not broken. And that's really what I wanna touch on today because like I said, menopause almost always has a negative connotation and we kind of think that our bodies are just, stuck like this for the rest of our lives and it's just terrible and you just miss your youth and all those things, but really there's so much good that can come out of this season of life. So that's what I want to touch on today by tackling 3 main myths. So myth number 1, has anyone heard your metabolism is just slowing down, right? So the reason I say that this is a myth, there is some truth to it, but it really doesn't give us the whole picture. So yes, your metabolism is slowing down, right? Because we're aging every day, we're getting older and older. We can't prevent that. But really what's happening is that your muscle mass is declining and that's leading to hormonal imbalances. So muscle mass is really one of the best ways to prevent those hormones from plummeting that we were talking about, that estrogen and progesterone, because you're signaling your body, hey, we're still growing, we're still building, don't break down just yet. So that is the main thing that's coming from that slowed metabolism, but it's not that your body's just like chilling and doesn't feel like burning calories anymore, right? A lot of times we're not giving it a reason to. We're not building muscle, we're not lifting heavy. And so that is something, the metabolism slowing is out of your control, but poor lifestyle habits are really what's gonna exacerbate those symptoms. So if you are having a healthy diet, if you are lifting properly, which we'll get more into, you do have control over those things. So don't just tell yourself, my metabolism is slow. Yes, it's slowing down, but everybody's metabolism is slowing down, men too. But it really just comes down to how willing you are to put in the work, but also learn how to work with your body as a woman because, like I said, we're not men. So we have different cards dealt to us, and that's okay. Myth number 2, it's all about calories in versus calories out. Have you guys heard this one? Yeah. So again, not a full myth. Like it is a myth, but there's some truth to it in a sense because calories in, calories out is important, right? You guys have done the challenges here. We give you a macro plan. You have to stick to a calorie deficit. Not a bad thing, but a lot of times we think, all right, if my calorie deficit says 2,000 calories, if I eat 2,001 calories, I'm going to blow up, right? That's not how our bodies work. And same otherwise, if we eat 1,999 calories, you're not just going to lose weight, right? It takes a lot more than that because our bodies are complex machines. Everybody's body's different. And they're not just simple calculators. I find actually that a lot of women chronically undereat, and that's just the biggest battle. How many of you come here for a 5, 6, 7 a.m. workout without eating breakfast before? Yeah, not good. Yeah, I get it. It's really hard to shovel food down in the morning. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but when you're sleeping, right, your body is already in a fasted state. Then you're waking up, cortisol is already high in the morning, and then you're doing these high intensity workouts, plus you're a female, so you're more cortisol sensitive. I could go on about this, but anyways. I'm like, amen. Yeah. Amen. All this just to say you're probably under eating, right? So that puts your body in a stress state, and that stress state really can cause you to hold on to fat, believe it or not. So less is more, or less is not more when it comes to food. And then third, quality over quantity. So with calories, yes, it matters if you're in a deficit. We don't want you in a huge surplus, right, if you're trying to lose weight. But it really comes down to the quality of our food. And unfortunately in America, we have ultra-processed foods everywhere that we look. And these ultra-processed foods really disrupt our hormones. They damage our cells. They lead to inflammation. And then ultimately, they don't really even satisfy us. Like you can go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac and fries. I don't know, personally, that doesn't fill me up. A large fry, I could probably eat more, right? But that just leads to more cravings later on, right? So when you stick to whole foods, like I guarantee you, you're not gonna binge on a bag of grapes, right? Or you're not gonna binge on chicken, right? So look for those foods that are maybe 5 ingredients or less processed. Try to cook at home when you can, and you'll feel much more satisfied and find it easier to stick in that calorie deficit. All right, myth number 3, my favorite, lifting heavy weights will make you bulky. How many of you have heard that before, or maybe believe it? It's okay if you do. Yeah. So weightlifting is still fairly new for women, right? Even 20, 30 years ago, you were not seeing that. Well, I wasn't here, but assuming you weren't seeing that many women in the gym. Yeah. There weren't a lot of women in the gym, am I right? At least lifting weights. I mean, I know even when I started lifting, like in high school, it just wasn't that common. I thought cardio was the way to go. So lifting weights is really on the come up. But it's really not going to make you bulky unless A, you're on anabolic steroids, which you don't have to raise your hand, but I don't think anyone is. Or if you have a genetic predisposition to testosterone dominance, which is also very rare, and even then you'd have to do a lot of work to see the bulky effects of lifting weights. Or you'd have to be in an extreme caloric surplus. I'm talking thousands of calories over your weight, over your limit, and eating more and lifting more than the average man, which again, I don't think any of us are doing here. So you don't have to worry about getting bulky from lifting weights. It might be news to you, but if you want to get tone, that's really only going to come from lifting heavy weights. And so that's why I know we joke a lot, but if I come over in class and I hand you those heavier dumbbells, it's because I care about your goals and I want you guys to really be pushing yourself, because that's what's going to give your body a reason to respond. So now let's talk about, does anybody have any questions over what I just covered? I kind of threw a lot out there. Anything? Okay. Okay, so training for menopause. So the reason I say training for menopause is because there really is a way that you can exercise to support your hormones. So the top 5 that I've kind of narrowed it down to are weightlifting, zone 2 cardio, sprint intervals, plyometrics, and core stability. So that weightlifting piece is going to really support your bone health, your brain health, metabolism, because the more muscle you have, guys, the more calories you burn at rest, the more food you need just to function every day. That zone 2 cardio. So zone 2 cardio is going to be more low intensity. I've talked to a lot of you guys, you love going on walks. That's great. Just keeping your body in a steady state of burning calories, but not spiking your heart rate up for long periods of time. Sprint intervals. So sprinting, don't worry, I'm not talking running sprints. It could be rower sprints, ski erg sprints, bike sprints. We do a lot of that in class. But sprinting is really helpful for women because when you're doing high intensity bursts of exercise like that, rather than super high intensity for prolonged periods of time, it tells your body to produce more growth hormone, estrogen, all of those bone building hormones that we really see start to plummet during menopause. So sometimes even myself, if I'm doing sprint intervals, this looks like 10, 20, 30 seconds of bike sprints for no more than 3 to 5 sets. So it's really not a lot. You could do a sprint workout in 10 minutes if you really wanted to. And then plyometrics, so that's going to be jumping, landing. This is really important for women because how often do we hear about people, you know, once they hit menopause, their bones become more frail, they're more prone to falling, and really that's where things start to go downhill, is when you start breaking bones. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And then core stability, because everybody, you know, we want to train our abs for aesthetic purposes, but we also want to make sure that we're nice and strong, again, just to prevent any type of falling or injury and just keep ourselves more aware and conscious of our bodies. So any questions on those types of training? Yes, Franca?
I'm getting started.
Yes.
Plyometrics.
Yes.
For someone, you're saying definitely incorporate plyometrics for menopause?
If you can. I know plyometrics functionally are not, like box jumps can be trouble for some people, but some type of jumping and landing, it doesn't have to be from high heights, but it's really good for your body to learn like shock absorption to some extent. So again, if you can, same with sprinting. Not everyone can get on a bike or a rower and stuff like that. So as best as you can, if that makes sense, is ideal. Yeah, anybody else? Okay. All right, and then next, nutrition for menopause. So how can you eat to support your hormones? So there's so much to unpack with this, but really the main 3 things to keep it simple are eat complete proteins, have quality carbohydrates, and healthy fats, right? So if you guys have done on the Eze Fit tracking app, like they have a macro breakdown, these are the main 3 food groups. So any food can be categorized as one of these things. So complete proteins. When I say complete proteins, that just means from real animal sources. So if you're on a plant-based diet, is anyone here on a plant-based diet? Yes? Okay. Does anyone want to share why they are? Or like, is it if it's an ethical reason or if it's just more preference or?
Mine is ethical.
Ethical? Okay, cool. Anybody else?
The same.
Same? Okay. Yeah, so ethical reasons are obviously a different conversation, but if it's more of a preference or if you've heard maybe that a vegan diet is better for health reasons, there's a lot that goes into that. But if you can, animal sources are going to be the most high quality. So like grass-fed beef, cage-free eggs, salmon, wild caught, or if you eat dairy sources are great, eggs. So those are going to be complete protein sources, quality carbs. So I never like to say that carbs are the enemy. It's more about the quality of them, right? So we want to go for the unrefined, unprocessed, maybe stay away from those added sugars, those white breads, those white pastas, carbohydrates that are more fiber rich. So think like sweet potatoes, whole grains. And then lastly, healthy fat. So pretty much any fat that you're getting like from your meat, that's naturally occurring fat. We like that. So don't be afraid of like a good burger or steak, but also other healthy fats like avocado oil. We really just want to avoid like trans fats and seed oils. Those are really only going to be found if you're getting those ultra processed foods or fast foods, which again, everything in moderation, but there really isn't a need for those in the everyday diet. So those are the main points that you should keep in mind for nutrition. And then lastly, supplements. Are any of you currently taking any supplements daily? Yeah? Okay, yeah. So supplements can be great, but they are supplements. So they're meant to fill in the gaps, not replace a healthy diet. If you are choosing to have supplements, you want to make sure that they're third-party tested. I think it's something like 40% of the supplements on the shelf now can like not be anything that the label says, which is crazy if they're not third-party tested. So make sure you're choosing a brand that has that label on it. I know here we have First Form. Those are third-party tested and high quality. By no means do you have to have them. But if you are choosing to supplement through menopause, I have narrowed it down to a couple that I think you should prioritize. Just going to rapid fire through these. We have creatine, electrolytes, omega-3s, calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, and collagen. So those are great for various reasons that I've listed here on the screen. Again, if you guys have any questions on anything we didn't get into, I'd love to talk to you more about these because supplements are very variable. I would never just tell someone to go on a supplement without knowing more about their background. And of course, we want to try to get as much of this from whole foods. So if you're looking into omega-3s, look at your diet. Are you having fatty fish? Are you having egg yolks? If you're not, or if you don't eat those things, maybe that's a good option, but definitely more of a last resort. It also will just save you money. We don't want to spend money on things we don't need, right? So looking ahead, all of that to say, I listed a lot of information about just like physical things, but this really comes down to mindset. Menopause is not a curse, kind of how I started this whole thing out. It really is an opportunity to just better understand your body and prepare it for a new season of life. So it's never too late to start doing that, even if this is your first year working out. Like the years before have not been a waste. It's never too late to start making improvements now. I would encourage you all to just set goals. So if you're coming here for classes every day, like set PR goals, set strength goals, make a list of things that are attainable for you, whether it's short or long term, that you can work towards daily. And then lastly, just evaluate your lifestyle. So really just be honest with yourself and say, okay, what are some things that I can maybe be cutting out of my life that aren't serving me? What are some positive and practical habits that I can implement today? It could be something really small. It could be getting up in the morning and not checking your phone. It could be getting some morning sun in the morning. I know my mom laughs at me, but every morning I stand outside and I just look at the sun for 5 minutes because it's so good for you and it really just makes a huge difference, right? These don't have to be goals that are like monumental that are going to take a lot of time out of your day. It's really the little things that add up. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a closing reflection. This is Isaiah 40:31. It says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." And so I underline renew their strength because that is the line that kind of inspired the name of this seminar. Because I really do believe, like I said, that strength comes from the inside out. And so if you could just trust the process and be patient, wait on the Lord, these are years that you can really enjoy and you could still see fruit from despite kind of the difficulties that you've been dealt through it. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Does anybody have any questions from everything that I just covered or anything they want to share at all? Okay, great. So I know I've kind of just given you guys all this info, kind of aggravated your frustrations, but I haven't really given you a solution yet. But I did put together something that I think will hopefully help a lot of you that are in this position, and that is going to be a 6-week program that I'm going to be offering you guys. It's called the Renewed Strength Program. So it's going to be starting Saturday, May 3rd, which is this coming Saturday. It's going to run till Saturday, June 7th from 10:30 to 12 here at our Howell location. And the format of this program is going to be full body warm up. I'm going to be giving you guys weight strength training sessions, really touching on all of those 5 points of exercise that we talked about so that you guys can have just really attentive guidance on how to actually implement these things into your workout routine. I'm going to be running this myself, so I'm really excited to get to see all of you because I see all of you in classes all the time, but sometimes, I'm running from station to station and I can't really hear more of your story and help you guys more one-on-one. So that's why I'm really excited to be offering this program to you guys. In terms of what it's going to include, you're going to get 6 individual 90-minute in-person training sessions. So this is going to be a $597 value. These workouts are going to have specialized programming tailored to your goals. So throughout the program, I'm just going to be really attentive to what your personal goals are, whether it's weight loss, muscle building, both. A recipe guide is going to be included in there. That's going to be a $97 value. So I'm going to be sending you guys recipes that align with those 3 points. So complete proteins, healthy fats, good carbs that are quick and easy to make and that you can do at home. You're going to get full app access to the Eze Fit tracking app, which a lot of you probably have from like the challenges, but it's going to be exclusive for the 6-week program. A weekly newsletter. This is just going to be free. I just want to be able to send you guys good information every week, maybe send you a podcast to listen to, a book to recommend. This is just going to be more information kind of expanding on what we talked about today, because again, there's so much to unpack that I didn't even get to. And then community group membership, that's going to be a $47 value so that you guys can interact with each other. Nutritional guidance for any questions you have, and then 24/7 coach access. This is a $497 value. So no matter what time it is, if it's not a Saturday, I'm not going to be like, sorry, can't answer. Like you guys can text me whenever through the Eze Fit tracking app. If you have a question, let's say about a meal you're making or a workout you're doing at home, I would love to interact with you guys on there. And then lastly, weekly online check-ins. That's going to be a $297 value. So every week we could just be holding each other accountable throughout this process. So that is going to be everything in this program. And I'm offering it to you guys here today. I am only taking 20 spots because like I said, this is just something that I want to be able to be super attentive with. A lot of times in class, I can only be with so many people at once, right? So I want to make sure that those 20 women are just really getting full attention and tracking with their goals. That total value of the program is going to be $1,747. But today I'm going to give you guys an exclusive discount if you take action today. That's going to be $397 you guys are getting from that whole package. And so that is my offer to all of you. I would love to see you guys there. Again, that's going to be starting this Saturday. So if that is something that interests you, Michelle and I are going to be in the back. You could grab a clipboard, fill out that application, and then we can get you signed up before you head out of here today. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys. If you guys have any other questions or anything, I'll be around. Michelle, John, and I will all be around. So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.